Good afternoon. Welcome to another segment of March Madness. Today I am joined by my grandfather, and we will be talking about, the first weekend of the tournament. We're also going to get into some of the new coaching hires, and then we will break down the Sweet 16. So, Grandpa, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So, my first question for you is, let's start with Thursday. Virginia and Furman. One of the best games of the tournament. Simply put, is Virginia's run over? Will Virginia ever be the same team again and get back to a national title? Or is this kind of always just been who Virginia is?
I don't think it's been who Virginia is. And yes, I think Tony Bennett will still put together a good program.
Yeah, my thoughts are Virginia had that game won. The stupid turnover at the end, just inexcusable. What's funny about that Clark kid is in 2019, he had one of the best passes in school history to save their season against Purdue, which led them to winning a national title. This year, he has one of the worst passes of his career, and it cost them a spot in the second round. Talk about a 180 career for Clark. He will not be back next year as he is graduating. My next question is, Arizona going down to Princeton. What do you think happened with Arizona?
I think they ran into a team that was very precise in running their offense and playing excellent defense and didn't make very many mistakes. And Arizona probably showed up with the thought that this was just going to be just roll the ball out, we'll win the game and move on. And then they got themselves caught in a revolving door with Princeton. The Princeton and some of those Ivy League schools have always been known to be very precise in how they run their offenses and defenses, and they're a very disciplined. They play very disciplined basketball in the Ivy League.
So Princeton, a lot of good guards, and that's what I think the game has become today. Guard play is what wins you games in the tournament. I mean, Arizona had some decent guards. Krista or whatever his name is, I don't know how to pronounce it. Number 25, he is in the transfer portal. Hopefully, he will be coming to Xavier because Sean Miller recruited him. So when
good chance that he would, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he committed to Arizona to play for Sean Miller, and then Sean Miller obviously got fired from Arizona. Now he's at Xavier in the transfer portal. The X-Men could get a pickup in a guard because we're losing Sule Boom, obviously, this offseason. Obviously, he was a transfer, so maybe bring another transfer next year. So let's go over to Friday. The big one we're going to talk about is Purdue. Purdue basketball, Zach Edey going home early. Matt Painter in the tournament has lost in his last 3 tournament games to a 14, a 15, and a 16. What is the problem with Purdue basketball?
Well, I don't know. They've had good programs, but at the end of it's sort of like you still have to be ready to show up for the games. I mean, they were 5 or 25 from the 3, and the FDU defensive plan was excellent. They swarmed Zach Edey. It really exposed him as far as how he'll do in the NBA. I think it really exposed him. So, it was a combination of they couldn't get the ball to Edey, and when he did get it, when he did get the ball, they were defensively. They pushed him away from the basket enough that he was coming up short on some of his shots. But nobody else showed up in terms of the offense. They just didn't do what they were supposed to do. Now, in a one game knockout tournament, that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 2 number 1s gone already.
And what you said about Purdue, 5 for 25, it's simple. Like I just mentioned earlier in the video, guard play has become the new X factor in March. kind of like how it's been the quarterback in college football. So
Yeah.
Purdue's guard play was awful Friday night, and that's why they lost. And they don't when they had Carson Edwards and Klein, they had some good guards. They just Fletcher Lawyer. I mean, he's an okay player, but he's not elite. And yeah, Purdue. I don't know what you do with Painter. I mean,
you don't get rid of him.
you can't fire him.
No.
But
No. There are coaches that do well as the tournament approaches, and we know one for sure here in our home state. And then there are coaches who sort of disappear when the March Madness rolls around. So, it's one game is one game. Would Purdue beat Fairleigh Dickinson in a best-of-7 series? Of course they would.
Now, speaking of the coach you mentioned who does well in the tournament, we'll get to him later. But, I mean, with Painter, you can't fire him, but you need to do something like what Jim Harbaugh did after the 2020 season. You need a culture change at Purdue. You need to shake up some of your staff. You need to start recruiting better players, better guards. You can't continue to go down this road if you're Purdue.
I suppose not.
Next up, we're going to talk about my beloved Xavier Musketeers. A scare Friday against Kennesaw State. Went a stretch in the game without scoring Sunday against Pitt, even though we already had the game won. But my biggest concern for my beloved X-Men is Souley Boum in the first half of each game didn't really feel existence. In the first, especially Sunday. Souley Boum Sunday. Obviously, let's talk about Friday first. Nunji with a huge block to win us the game Friday. We played well down the stretch. Woke up at halftime. I saw a report at halftime that Sean Miller said something to the players like, "You guys are the softest team I've ever coached." And they woke up at the half, came back, won the game. Sunday, shot lights out, especially Kunkel in the first half. We were draining threes, got the offense going. However, on Sunday, Souley Boum was not part of the first half. He scored 0 points again. As we get into the video later today, all I'm just going to say is this before we talk about tomorrow. Souley Boum has to play well in the first half for us to win. So we need 2 good halves of Souley Boum tomorrow.
You need 40 minutes of basketball.
We need 40 minutes of good basketball. We cannot go on these stretches for 5 minutes where we don't score.
No.
We have to play our...
Texas will bury you.
I know this may sound like a cliche, but we got to play our best game of the year tomorrow night. And I know that might be unfair, but it's true.
No, I agree.
We have to play an A game, not A plus an A. If we play an A game, I think we can beat them. But Texas has got elite guards. That DU guy, 28 points the other night against Penn State. I mean, this is not Kennesaw State or Pittsburgh. We got lucky Sunday that while we were going on a drought, Pittsburgh wasn't doing much either. We cannot do this against Texas. This is the best team we've played since Marquette. We'll get to Marquette in a little bit. But yeah, I think tomorrow night, in my heart, I obviously want X to win, but I think tomorrow night will be the hardest game we've played all season. But
Absolutely.
We will get to that later. So let's talk about the first round of Xavier. Souley Boum, not really involved Sunday, first half. Obviously, we were still up by 14 because Kunkel was draining threes. What is your takeaway from the first weekend of Xavier basketball in the tournament? What did you like? And what did you think of Sean Miller calling the guys soft?
Well, he was probably right. What did I think of Xavier? I think Xavier was sort of a so-so team. They just happened to play Pittsburgh, who could be a dangerous team at times. Pittsburgh didn't play that well. But I think part of it was Xavier did take him out of the game a little bit with their, So it's good to rely on other people to score and not rely on Souley Boum to pull you through. But he's got to play sharper, yeah. So
you know what I liked, though, Sunday? And here's what I saw the biggest change from Friday to Sunday was. Our defense, I think, locked down better on Sunday. We didn't let Pitt drive on us much.
No.
Friday, we let Kennesaw State down the lane too many times. Sunday, I think our defense and our rebounding was much better, and I think we played a much better game Sunday.
Yep.
However, we cannot play. We have to score. We got to play better tomorrow than we did on, obviously, the first Friday if we're going to beat Texas. And maybe a little bit better than we did last Sunday. Again, the only critique I have from last Sunday is the fact that we went on a little scoring drought. And I'll tell you one thing that I totally left out. Our inability to make free throws down the stretch is going to come back to bite us. You get 2 chances tomorrow night at the line, Texas fouls you, go to the line, better make them both. You better take advantage because you might not get another chance.
No,
you have to take advantage of every opportunity they gift you. They ain't going to make a lot of mistakes. Xavier's free throw shooting is something as a Xavier fan I am really concerned about. And it was just as bad it was way worse Sunday than Friday, but the fact that we continue to miss crucial free throws, this has been a problem the last 5 years. They have to shoot better from the charity stripe tomorrow. So yeah, there are our thoughts on Xavier. We're going to get one more team in. We're going to talk about Tom Izzo and Michigan State Friday. Not a very good game. In my opinion, USC kind of lucky to be there. But Sunday was the best game I have seen Michigan State play this year. Their defense was all over Marquette. They rarely gave up chances to Marquette. Everyone contributed. I think that is an all-around team effort from Michigan State on Sunday against Marquette. Now, the one thing I'd be concerned if I was a Michigan State fan, the 3-point shooting has to get better. Just like I said, Xavier's free throws got to get better. Michigan State's got to shoot better from 3. But I think Michigan State has overperformed expectations because I think a lot of people after the Ohio State game in the tournament, in the Big Ten tournament, did not have high hopes for this team. But Michigan State Sunday played their best game of the year. The question is, as we talk about later, can they replicate that tonight? That's going to be hard. We will get into it later. Grandpa, your thoughts on the state of Spartan basketball?
Well, they match up real well with Kansas State. It's going to be an interesting game because the two guards from Michigan State are going to go head-to-head with the 2 best players at Kansas State. So it should be an interesting matchup in that sense. I think that Michigan State might have a little bit of the edge on the glass, but Michigan State's got to drain some threes. They've got to make their foul shots. And again, they've got to play. They can't turn the ball over. Now, Kansas State likes to can get the other teams to turn the ball over, but conversely, Kansas State turns the ball over a lot. So statistically, they're pretty close, and it should be an interesting contest. I think Michigan State keeps their head in the game, doesn't try to do more than they're capable of doing, especially A.J. Hoggard. Get the ball to Tyson Walker when you need something to happen. And if the big kid, Sasusko, comes back like he played the last 10 minutes of the game against Marquette, Michigan State's it's going to be it could be a good ending.
Yeah. So, anyway, another one real quick. Another coach who does not do well in the tournament is Shaka Smart. He has been absolutely brutal the last few years. Now 2-5 in his last 7 in March. Marquette Sunday out of whack, unprepared.
Well, I don't know. Marquette was down by 12 or 14 points, and they came back and
that's
had a
true.
5-point lead. So they stuck in there, but Michigan State in the second half just was right in their face defensively, and Marquette had a lot of trouble running their half-court offense, And that was it. It was the defense and taking care of the basketball that put Michigan State in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, so anyway, let's talk real quick before we get into our Sweet 16 Elite 8 predictions about some coaching hires. We got a couple big ones I'd like to mention. The big one we might save for last, but I'll go in order. First off, Ed Cooley to Georgetown. Thoughts?
Good move for Georgetown and Ed Cooley. I think he wants to sort of start over again, and he's in a good region where a lot of good basketball players come out of there.
Yeah, agree. Curious how Georgetown does next year. Providence hiring Providence. Providence hiring George Mason, head coach.
Don't know anything about him.
Kim English.
Don't know anything about him.
First 2 seasons at George Mason, his last 2 seasons, kind of a subpar 500 record. Personally, I think this is a terrible move for Providence. I think this is an extremely risky hire, and I think Providence basketball is going to be not making March Madness next year. I think they're going to be one of those bubble teams.
I don't know.
The Kim English hire is not a good hire for Providence whatsoever. That's my opinion. I know you don't know much about him, but I'm telling you, that's how I feel.
You study this stuff, so I'll go with
Next up, Rick Pitino, St. John's.
Good hire.
Think so?
Yeah. Rick Pitino knows the New York area. Lots of good basketball players there. I think it was a pretty good hire.
Now,
And a winning coach wherever he goes.
here's the thing. Here's why I'm not as sold. He's 70 years old. Has to learn a new system. The Big East system is different. St. John's behind a lot of the other teams like Xavier, UConn, Creighton, Villanova. I think St. John's has a 3-year window
Well, I think in 3
to
years,
get the ultimate goal.
Yeah, no,
Because I don't think Pitino will coach there for 10 years. I could see this be as like a last stop retirement tour for Pitino.
Of course it is.
I don't think this is going to go the way people think it is. I think this will absolutely fail. Now, St. John's might make the tournament a couple times. I just do not see them amounting to much. That's my take. Now, the last one, Mike Shrewsbury going from Penn State to Notre Dame for 7 years in what seems like a lateral move. What is your take on that?
I was surprised to see that, quite honestly.
Same, but his first ever job was in the South Bend area, so maybe that has something to do with it. Who knows? But
Being the coach at Notre Dame, if he brings the Notre Dame program back to some relevance, you get much more national exposure there than you do at Penn State.
that may be true. Now, let's talk about the Sweet 16 games.
Okay, let's just talk about the real important ones because I'm going to have to go pretty soon.
Let's just run through these quickly.
Okay.
All of them. So let's just go quickly. Michigan State, Kansas State. What do you got?
Well, I'll tell you, my heart says Michigan State. My head says Kansas State.
Really? You're taking Kansas State?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just think that Kansas State's on a roll right now, although Michigan State is also. But Kansas State has got, I think their 2 players that they have are enough that's it's gonna be a 3 or 4 point game.
I'm going to take Michigan State. I think the ride continues. I just think that, they're starting to play together. I think they shoot the ball better from 3 tonight, and I think they get it done against Kansas State.
Okay.
Next up, Arkansas, UConn, which I think this is going to be a hell of a game.
Going to be a good game. I'm going to take UConn. They're on a roll.
I'm going to take Arkansas. Muscleman's doing one of the best coaching jobs in the country. He's brought Arkansas back to relevance. Give me Arkansas in an upset.
Okay.
Next up, FAU, Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee.
Barnes kind of chokes in the tournament, but I still think Tennessee pulls it out. UCLA, Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
Really?
Yeah, that's one from the heart, not from the mind.
I'm going to take UCLA. I think UCLA has the guys to neutralize Drew Timme.
Well,
I think UCLA's got great guard play. I expect the Bruins to win tonight by at least 5.
Well, okay.
Tomorrow night, San Diego State, Alabama.
Alabama.
Agree. Miami, Houston.
Oh, Houston.
Agree.
Good.
Princeton, Creighton.
That should be an interesting game, but I'm going to go with Creighton because I like the way the Creighton team has been playing.
I agree with you.
And the big kid will make the difference for Creighton, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I got Creighton too. Last but not least, Xavier, Texas.
That's a tough one, but I'm going to go with Xavier because I like Sean Miller as a coach. I think Sule Boone is going to come back with a good game, and I just think Xavier is going to squeak it out.
I agree with you. I don't think Sule Boone can play as bad of a first half as he did the first 2 games. I think we get a full 40 minutes from him. I think our big Nunji, as long as Nunji's got to stay out of foul trouble tomorrow night. That will be important. But same with Kunkel. Got in a little foul trouble Sunday, but I think my X-Men pull it off on Friday, and they get to play Houston on Sunday for a right to go to the Final Four.
That's a tough one. Houston is good.
Should we do the Elite Eight really quick or just...
Yeah, we can do the Elite Eight real quick.
Okay, so...
Well, we don't know because we don't have an Elite Eight yet.
That is true. We do know that UCLA would be playing Arkansas in 9, and Tennessee would be playing Michigan State. And that Xavier would be playing Kansas.
Okay, we'll go with your bracket.
And that Xavier will be playing Houston. And then the other Sunday game would be Alabama versus Creighton. Let's start Saturday with Michigan State, Tennessee.
Michigan State gets to the Elite Eight, I think they get to the Final Four.
I agree. I think Michigan State beats Tennessee. I think Michigan State will make the Final Four. They will win these 2 games. Next, Arkansas, UCLA.
I would go with UCLA.
Creighton, Alabama.
Alabama.
Agree. Xavier, Houston.
Tough one, but I'll say Houston.
You know what? I'm going to pick with my heart. I think we beat them. I think we make the Final Four.
I think that would be a great thing to happen for the program.
I think Sasser for Houston will be not himself. I think Xavier can do it. That means we will not pick the Final Four because we'll have time before then. But if Xavier lines up, they play Alabama, and then Michigan State would play UCLA. I think that would be a Final Four for the ages.
I think it would be great if Michigan State wound up playing Xavier for the national championship.
Now, early, but I take UCLA over Michigan State.
Yeah.
And I take Bama over us.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see. We'll do the Final Four when we get to the Final Four.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. Have a good day.
No, I want to thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to go into the kitchen now and start making my dinner. And I hope your day went well today, Joe.
It did. Thank you very much.
Good. Well, appreciate it, and good luck on the YouTube broadcast. And you do a very professional job. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Goodbye, guys. Have a good day. Sorry if I acted a little weird.